Hello, my darlings, and welcome back to This is Maria. Today we're talking about deja vu, something that is becoming more and more common. I have gotten a lot of questions about what it is, where is this coming from. Today we're going to be discussing some of the precursors to this and what are the reasons that you may be experiencing deja vu in your life. Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping items. Please do follow me on YouTube if you haven't already. I am at This is Maria, Maria with a Y, Mariya. And also come meditate with me on our Sacred Universe podcast, a heart space. I upload meditations there every week. I would love to see you there. Last but not least, come check out my book. It's called 72 Keys to Manifestation, or An Ancient Path of a Modern Day Alchemist. It is a very magical book. It is a book about manifesting your best life. It has a lot of practical guidance, a lot of channeled information around how the energy works in the universe, how you can borrow energy, how you could manifest things quickly and effectively. And that book is available in pretty much all kinds of formats you can imagine. So hardcover, paperback, ebook on Kindle, and then Audible. In an Audible version as well. On Audible, sorry. Anyway, you catch my drift. Thank you so much if you have already downloaded the book, and thank you for all the amazing feedback that you have been sending me. I'm really, really glad you're enjoying it. Alrighty, my darlings, why don't we dive into deja vu? Now, some of you may remember yourself, even when you were a little kid, having deja vu moments. For a lot of you, though, it has been accelerating lately. Usually you do see a correlation with things like the energies rising on the planet and a phenomenon like deja vu becoming front and center in people's lives. A lot of you are experiencing it. There's not just one reason for it. That sense of, ooh, I have seen this before. Although deja vu, right? And vu means like has seen it before, right? Like, meaning it's connected to the eyesight and therefore it's connected to our sense of clairvoyance. When you experience a true deja vu, there are many facets that it can come through. It may feel like an image in your head of like, ooh, I've been there before. It may be a memory of saying something like a word or a phrase. And that what triggers a deja vu. It may just be the feeling, the sensation in your body, almost like a clairsentience, right? Where like this feeling is familiar. I have felt like that before. So let's just get it out of our system that deja vu is just a phenomenon when you literally are connecting a visual image of something in the past, what you think may have happened to you. And like it's the visual image that feels familiar. There are many facets to deja vu is what I'm saying. It could be a visual phenomenon. It could be an auditory phenomenon. It could be a sensational phenomenon. It could be an emotional phenomenon. Or it could just be a knowing, right? Claircognizance. It could be just a knowing of familiarity, like, ooh, I know this, I feel this. Now, as the energies of planet Earth are becoming lighter, what is happening is the veil between worlds, or rather specifically, the veil between you on the other side, which I refer to as the version of your higher self, and the version of you right now incarnated in your current human body, that veil is becoming thinner, which means that communication can start flowing to and fro a lot easier, a lot more seamlessly. And so very often, the phenomenons like deja vu accentuate and, they increase as the vibrations of a particular place rise. So it is no coincidence that enough of you have been experiencing deja vu. Let's look at some of the most common reasons why and what could it be? Like, what is it a memory of, right? Because I think we all fundamentally understand that the phenomenon of deja vu is like, I've seen this before, I've experienced this before. So it feels like a memory, right? But very often, especially if it's like, let's say you're having a conversation with a friend and you're like, this has already happened before, but you and a friend are wearing a particular outfit, like each of you is wearing a particular outfit, you're a particular age, you're saying particular things, right? So I think we all recognize that, chances of this particular exact same instance happening in the exact same way in the past are slim to none. Now, does it happen that, there is some reminiscence about the happening? Maybe not the full recognition, but just a little bit, enough to cause a feeling of deja vu. Yes, it does happen, but it's only in 10% of cases. In 90% of cases, the phenomenon of deja vu is the byproduct of the veil between worlds is getting thinner. Now, it's not consistently thin in the same way that if you guys look at the Schumann resonance, right, the vibration of planet Earth that's being measured right now, it's going to be ups and downs. It's not a very consistent, like it's not a straight line. It's the ebbs and the flows. And same is true for the veil. The veil between worlds is actually impacted by a number of factors. The frequency of the planet is one of them. The state of the moon is another, by the way. Whether it's a portal, let's say it's one of the days of the wheel of the year, like a solstice or an equinox, that may impact the thinness of the veil. Whether that is midday or midnight may impact the thinness of the veil. The state of water on planet Earth may impact the thinness of the veil because water is connected to the other side. And, a lot of other things may impact, how much information comes through into your body, into your vessel, into your consciousness from the other world. How busy the happening is of humanity, like how busy that collective consciousness is, by the way, could also determine how much you're getting through from the other side. But let's get back into what are some of the precursors to deja vu. Enough of you may be remembering that the specific act of planning a life, right? Again, it may be glimpses and pieces, right? But prior to incarnating into this body, you go through a slew of planning exercises, and you plan very big pivotal moments of your life. And then before descending into a body, you look at your path that you have drawn for yourself, and you make mental notes for yourself because you want to make sure that you're on the path as a soul, right, as much as possible. And yet you know that you're going to undergo the veil of forgetfulness. You're going to go behind the veil and you're going to lose most of your memories, right? That is the status quo of how we experience this matrix game. Because of that, deja vu was developed as a feedback mechanism to remind you, to keep you reminded that you are on track. So the good news is anytime you experience deja vu, it's a good thing. It's not it's a bad thing, I've seen this before. It's a good thing, I've seen this before. It means that your perception has expanded. You are in the zone of expanded perception. It means that your vibrations are rising, and it means that you're on the right track. So whatever the reason that you're seeing deja vu, no, it is good news, you guys. If you're experiencing deja vu, affirm to the universe, yes, thank you. I know I'm on the right path. I know I'm on the right track. And I intend to keep being on the right track. So please keep aligning me to my intended path. It's always a confirmation. It's always a good thing. If you're getting a lot of deja vu back to back to back, it's great. That means that the universe is talking to you. And by the way, the most important thing is you're receiving. Because the more you're cognizant of receiving signs from the universe, the more it's going to give it back to you. Every sign that you have taken and internalized and understood is almost like a stepping stone into getting another sign. Because the universe doesn't want to talk to people that never receive things from it, right? The universe is not stupid. Like the universe is not going to give you 3001 signs if you've never paid attention to one. But if it gives you a sign and you're like, ooh, I see you, I feel you, I hear you, the universe is like, okay, this one's talking to me. Great. Why don't I talk back? And the universe always talks back. And one of the ways that it talks through you and to you is not just feathers and not just, like animals that it puts in front of you and, other things or license plates, etc., on cars, or like 1111 numbers, etc. It also puts a phenomenon like deja vu in front of you, right? So one common reason why you may be experiencing deja vu is because your soul is remembering, like your incarnated aspect is remembering the planning that you did prior to incarnating. And it's almost like it's a convergence of a memory with a happening. And when the two come together, you're like, ooh, I've seen this before. And the reason that it feels like you have already experienced this in your body is because when your soul plans upstairs, the planning is not very flat. Your soul gets a chance to experience things almost like as if it was embodying them. So that experience is very dimensional. It's not very flat. So your soul can almost like place itself into a hypothetical body, into a hypothetical situation, and pre-plan a certain event. Like almost like stitch it into the plan, that event. And if that is, and then, if the veil is thin enough, that memory may come through of like, oh, I've experienced this. My soul upstairs has been simulating it, like simulating that experience. And that is, by the way, this is what very often happens. When you're planning an incarnation, you may want to role play, or usually do role play certain things to try to make sure that you're going to get the experiences that you want to get. And that is why your soul would very often submerge itself into the happening of the incarnation that they're planning, and like, kind of like take it on for a size. And that is why a lot of these memories are going to be ingrained in your psyche, or rather in your subconscious, right? So if you were able to access those subconscious memories, a lot of the things that you're going through on a daily basis aren't going to be all that new or all that exciting. Although, to be honest, planning something and actually living it are not one and the same thing. Because when you're planning something, what you don't get is the breadth of emotion that comes with actually living it. Because obviously upstairs, it's a game. And so you cannot really reach the depth of emotion. Like if your dog dies upstairs, meaning like you're simulating, you're role playing a future life, and you put yourself into a day when your dog dies. You may witness yourself looking at your dog's body. And I'm so sorry for this morbid analogy, but please bear with me. You may, be cognizant of your dog like lying in front of you. You may be cognizant of you like crying, but the emotion is not there. The emotion is like what souls treasure so much, but you can only experience it once you go through the veil of forgetfulness. So everything is going to be the same, but the emotion. It's almost like the decorations. So very often the deja vu feeling is like, oh, you're remembering the decorations and the surroundings, and like, my body was positioned in this way and your body was positioned in that way. Like it may come in such a regard. Second reason you may be experiencing deja vu is when you really, literally have lived this before. And I don't mean in this life, but I kind of do. You guys are all familiar with the concept of the multiverse, or maybe you're not. And this is getting a little bit complicated, so maybe I'll take a step back, right? Like when you're faced with a choice, this is the concept of the multiverse. I explained this before, but really quickly, I will explain this again. The multiverse is when you're making choices. And, like for instance, go left or go right. With your conscious mind, when you make a choice to go right, you just follow that line or train of thought, or like you just follow that happening, that event. What happens in actuality is very often your soul chooses to explore both directions, both the right and the left. Now, you're not consciously experiencing those directions, you're subconsciously experiencing these directions, meaning your higher self is aware that all of these potentialities are happening at the same time, but your lower self is not. And so at any point in time, you may have thousands of very similar paths that you're walking. So a feeling of deja vu may just mean that you're either very close to another parallel life, and like a life that's very similar to this one, but like with slightly different choices that you made. And you're starting to pick up things that are happening on that timeline. And by the way, they're not all quote unquote happening at the same time. They're not like perfectly aligned. And I know what is time in the first place, but there is a little bit of a sequence of events, right? Depending on the choices that you make. Something may have, quote unquote, already happened to you on lifeline number 1, but hasn't quite happened to you on lifeline number 3. So if you passed a particular point in time in a parallel life, but you're now just passing it in this life, it may create a feeling of deja vu, but it is not a memory of what you planned upstairs. It is a memory of what is happening to you in the matrix, if that makes sense. It is a little bit complicated to understand, but also not really, because you may be wondering, well, if I'm making different choices on this other lifeline, why am I getting the same event repeated? And the answer is there are certain events in your life that are going to happen no matter what. And it could be one of those. Or there are certain paths that you're meant to walk in your life that pretty much are going to happen no matter what. Like, for instance, if you're meant to experience abandonment, if that's what your higher self wanted, you will still experience abandonment one way or another. And that may trigger certain things to happen, certain events to happen, right? So very often, it's actually very, very funny. Once you start looking at like these thousands of pathways, once you do the review of your life, you would be surprised how similar a lot of them are, despite the fact that you made different choices. You may even marry a different person, but your issues are going to be the same. That's how funny it is. And that's why usually when stuff gets uploaded to the Akashic Records, what gets uploaded after you die, after you disincarnate, is a very condensed version. And most of these parallel lives get collapsed because there's just not enough happening in there. There's not enough interesting or difference that it would make to upload those lives, because they're just so run of the mill and they don't really lead you to outcomes that are significantly different from, other outcomes, right? And they're giving you a very similar emotional range, so it doesn't really benefit you to remember them. And so they just get collapsed and, they get archived and you move on with your life at soul level. Third precursor to seeing a deja vu is getting communication from your guides, from your spirit guides, as well as your higher self in dream state, in dreamscapes. So our dreams, as we're going through this ascension process on a planetary level, are becoming a lot more charged. Our dreams are becoming a lot more intentional. They're not just a process. They're not just a period of time where your body is resting. They're so much more than that. They're used for recharging. They're used for upgrades. They're used for detox. They're used for communication with the spirit realm. They're used for astral travel, etc., all of the above and more. They're used for you to go through training programs as well, to experience certain things, to maximize your time on Earth. They're used to, to travel, to, I guess it's part of it is astral travel, to go to healing temples, etc., to recharge, more than just your physical batteries, but completely do a whole overhaul of all of your light bodies. Our dreamscapes are becoming exceptionally charged. There's so much that's going on. One of the things that is starting to happen more and more and more is your guides are preparing you for what's to come. And they would be, and this is going to be accelerating, by the way. If this has been already happening to you, know that more is happening to you. If this hasn't happened to you, this may start happening to you. You may be shown certain things in dreams that are a precursor to what will happen in real life. Traditionally, this is called the prophetic dream. And you would be experiencing, potentially large chunks of your journey in dreamscape before actually living them in a physical dimension. This is usually done to better prepare you for what's to come, because the shift of energies means rapid change. Rapid change means a little bit of mayhem and a little bit of chaos. And your spirit teams are extremely active right now, and they're trying to be as helpful as it possibly can be to make sure that you are going through this process of rapid change with as much grace as is possible. And because of that, they may choose to send you certain messages around what's to come. And then, of course, you may wake up in the morning not remember anything, but your subconscious does remember. And then when that thing that they warned you about actually happens in real life, that is what gets triggered, or rather, that is what gets perceived as a deja vu. And you're like, ooh, I've seen this before. But either way, it's a good thing, right? If you are experiencing a deja vu, please know that this is a sign that you are on the right track, that you are doing what you're meant to be doing. It's a sign from the universe. It's the sign that the universe speaks with you. It's a sign that one of your clairs or multiple of your clairs are starting to open up. It's a sign that you're becoming more intuitive, more in tune. So say yes to deja vu. If you haven't experienced deja vu, invite that as an experience into your world. And you may be shown it. You may be shown that as a confirmation if you're curious. There is another way that the deja vu may show up. And it is a little bit less prominent, about, under 10%, like 7-8%. And this is not something we've ever spoken about, but hey, might as well just mention it. Sometimes when you go through a particular incarnation and things happen, and yes, you're in the multiverse, right? So like you've experienced all these thousands of lifelines, and you get to the outcome, or rather the multiple outcomes. And neither of the outcomes that you experienced is the one that you were going for. It happens. Your soul may choose to dive into the same exact life, the same exact mission, with the same exact set of parameters, maybe changing one or two things, to try to get a different outcome. I don't know. Let's say your outcome was to become the president of the United States. I'm making it up, obviously. And let's say that you lived all these parallel lives and it just didn't happen for you. Like none of the 1 million parallel lives got you to become the president of the United States. Then you die. Your soul still wants to experience being president of the United States. Again, this is a very extreme example. 99.99.99, if you know what I mean, 0.99999% of lives are not going to be this extreme. It could be something very, very simple that you wanted to experience, like becoming a singer, or not even a famous singer, just a singer, or like composing a song, or like writing a book, or it's whatever. It could be anything, but let's just say that was not accomplished. In this particular case, the example is becoming the president of the United States. Your soul is going to do the review of the life and understand where things went wrong. Why did you not accomplish what you set out to accomplish? What went wrong? And then it would make a few slight tweaks to either the circumstances that you were born into, or the avatar, meaning the body, the presence that you were born into. It may remove or add certain adversity to your life. It may remove or add certain aspects. It may amp up education, for instance. Or it may say, hey, the fact that I got abandoned by my father when I was 5 years old didn't serve me on my path. And I believe as a soul, for instance, it's a random example, that this is the number one factor, the number one reason why I didn't become the president of the United States. You may be like, okay, scratch that. The father is not going to abandon me. I'm going to try to play the exact same game where the father hasn't abandoned me. But I will keep most of these other things the same so that it's recognizable. And then you literally send yourself to play the same exact game one more time. That would be a life where you experience deja vu front, like left, right, and center. Because so many things are going to feel familiar to you because you've lived this before, if that makes sense. So for those people that have habitual deja vu, like, I don't know, all the time, it could be that you belong to this smaller group, for sure. For some of you, that is how your clairvoyance is going to open up, or one of your clairs, right? That's probably the fourth factor, right? Sometimes we're being shown things before and we don't really fully register, like shown, or like sometimes we experience things before they happen, right? It's extra perception, extra sensory perception. We, like our body, may have registered that this is a sensation that is coming, visual, auditory, or otherwise, subconsciously. We may not have registered. And then that sensation is happening. We're aligning with the happening, like the event is happening. We're like, I've seen this before, I've felt this before, I've been there before. It's because your clairs are starting to open up. That is probably the fourth reason why you could be experiencing deja vu. I wanted to see if the collective has any questions around deja vu. If so, I'm ready to receive the question. Very interesting question. The question is, I am experiencing deja vu of a particular feeling over and over and over again. It's like it's a different circumstance often, but I feel like this feeling, felt it before, and it's like it's almost like a recurring dream, only I'm experiencing a deja vu in this instance. What is this? This is actually an example of a karmic knot, emotionally, a karmic knot. Like you're cycling. You're on a cycle instead of a spiral. I've said it before, but I'll actually repeat this. So at soul level, there are two types of movements. You can be going in a cycle, in a circle, or you can be going in a spiral. The evolution is a spiral. You always want to be moving in a spiral if you can, because the spiral is when, yes, you're going through things, but it's like progress. Whereas the cycle sometimes feels like moving in a vicious circle. If you feel like you've had a certain deja vu before, or like you just keep seeing the same thing, and by the way, even if you see that recurring dream, it works for the recurring dream just as well as for deja vu. If you feel like, okay, why am I stuck in this dream? This is usually a sign of a karmic knot. And that means this is a dead giveaway that you're moving in a cycle, in a circle, in a vicious circle, instead of moving up. You're not upgrading, you're not learning your lesson. So ask yourself, what is the lesson? Why am I stuck here? Like it's not that you're stuck in a dream or you're stuck with in a particular circumstance. Like you're stuck in a pattern. Like, either you're acting a certain way or you're attracting a certain vibration, you're emanating certain things, right? Like you're stuck in a pattern. And by the way, if your universe is giving you a sign that you're stuck via deja vu like that, or via a recurring dream like that, it is always a sign that you're meant to work through the pattern. You're always meant to move on. Maybe look into karma. Understand the reason that you're stuck in the cycle. What is the pattern you're trying to break through? What is it, right? Why are you seeing what you're seeing, right? And how should you ask yourself, like if you had the answer, right? How should you be behaving differently? Like what is keeping you stuck? And what is the number one thing you should be doing differently to get out of this pattern? And, if you ask, the answer will be received. Like if you ask the question, you shall receive the answer. Maybe not in the format that you expect. Maybe not on your timing, right? But the universe must give you the answer, right? So always know a recurring dream is a karmic pattern that you're ready to release and let go. But for some reason, you're just going in circles. All right. Alrighty, my darlings. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Thank you for tuning in to this episode about deja vu. Sending you a big virtual hug, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.